Hello, everybody. My name is Armand Avanis-Glajani, and I am here to talk to you about Swapasize. Swapasize is a platform that allows people to exchange clothing to benefit their wallet, the environment, and their community. Swapasize targets three problems that we face every day. To begin, families spend an excessive amount of money on clothing that is quickly outgrown or disposed of. Young children often have their entire wardrobes replaced every 6 months, which can be a massive financial burden. On average, a new piece of clothing is only ever worn 7 times. To only add to this, the poorly made and disposable clothing ends up in landfills, only miles away from our homes. The mass production of this fast fashion is incredibly detrimental, not only to our environment, but to our communities as well. Sweatshops, the backbone of the fast fashion industry, contribute to the exploitation of laborers and the environment. And finally, our modern lifestyle, combined with the current pandemic, has highlighted the value of the rapidly decreasing human interactions that people have in their communities. Swapasize alleviates these issues by reducing the need to purchase new clothing. This eliminates a significant amount of clothing costs, while still allowing consumers to enjoy new styles and sizes. The ability to trade unwanted clothes gives value to something previously disregarded. Swapasize also actively prevents disposable fast fashion from filling up landfills by allowing people to trade unwanted clothes instead of quickly throwing them away. This reduces the harmful effects of landfills and helps mitigate the amount of carbon dioxide released from clothing production. By purchasing less and swapping more, imagine the increase in lifespan of the clothing. We can increase the average number of times worn from 7 to 17. The service also encourages community interactions by recommending nearby clothing to trade with the community distance search feature. Limited to 10 miles, the community search feature allows people to see what is available to them within their city. And with more people trading, there is less of an incentive to buy clothing produced from sweatshops, reducing their profitability. Trading is easy. Just upload a piece of clothing you want to swap and list its size and clothing type. Then browse other listings to find what you want. Once you find an item you like, request to make a trade for it. If the trade is accepted, then all there is left to do is meet up and seal the deal. If you're interested in trading an entire closet at once or giving back to those in need, Swapasize can accommodate you. A bulk trade is an exchange with multiple pieces, an easy way to trade numerous items. Parents can utilize this feature to acquire an entire wardrobe. Garment Guardian allows financially unstable families to request a donation of bulk clothes to dress their growing children. This method adds an element of human connection that isn't found when donating to FACES organizations. Swapasize will cost $5 per month for unlimited access. That's it. This number was obtained after I asked a group of families and young adults what they felt comfortable paying for the service. The company's purpose is to provide new styles and clothing to the target demographic, growing families and young adults, at a low cost. A subscription-based revenue stream was chosen because it is an incredibly strong source of income, and it has become an incredibly popular form of payment with online services. Nowadays, customers are accustomed to accessing service through subscriptions. Our clients would be more comfortable paying for Swapasize in the same way that they do movies and music, instead of traditional transaction fees. In addition, Swapasize will offer a yearly payment option, so customers can choose to pay for a year's access at once and avoid being charged monthly. Swapasize will be promoted through social media advertisements on Instagram and Facebook while targeting the product's demographics. As the platform is online, different social media platforms act as a direct connection to the target audience. Another area of exposure is social media influencers. Young adults and new parents are the primary consumers of influencer content. By utilizing hashtags similar to #0waste and #lesswaste, we can cultivate organic growth for the platform. Partnering with already established organizations who promote environmentally sustainable lifestyles such as the Sustainable Apparel Coalition and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, will also help get the word out. This digital strategy will expose our platform to the organization's already established loyal following who share our message of environmental awareness. Finally, it is in my opinion that Los Angeles would be the best starting location for the platform. It has an incredibly large amount of the target audience, and its vibrant communities are heavily plagued by fast fashion sweatshops. To further expand on Los Angeles' viability, I researched the market values for the fashion industry in LA relative to the US and the rest of the world. The fashion industry as a whole is booming. The global fashion market value is currently $1.9 trillion, with projections to double by 2030. The US has a considerable chunk of that total, as it contributes $368 billion to the industry each year. Lastly, Los Angeles County brings in a total of $4.8 billion each year, further expanding its effectiveness as a starting location and illustrating the incredibly large and increasing fashion market. Other secondhand clothing services exist. However, these services lack in certain areas that Swapicize excels at. Goodwill has very little community connection and has a large markup on their product. OfferUp's clothing interface is non-existent, which makes it incredibly hard to find specific sizes. And while eBay does have a large clothing scene, it is focused on luxury fashion and charges a fee for transactions. Not to mention, products on eBay are typically shipped, which only adds to our increasing carbon dioxide pollution. After 3 years, the goal is to have over 60,000 active subscribers. This would be obtained through marketing strategies discussed earlier, combined with word of mouth recommendations. Once the service has enough users, we will then add an advertising revenue stream to the platform. This will be executed later on as advertising becomes viable once the platform has a larger user base. So once a stable user base is created through our marketing strategies, this approach, combined with the subscription model, would be able to cultivate a larger amount of the targeted demographic. Finally, the last objective would be to expand to other regions across the US. This is to be accomplished through the targeting of advertisements in specific regions we wish to expand to. For example, New York or San Francisco. This is a 5-year financial projection for Swapicize. This is assuming a base user count of 7,000 with a consistent 3 times increase in users per year. Our expenses include development costs, server fees, marketing, and customer support. With so many businesses and stores closed down, many people don't have access to personal shopping. This shopping hiatus is what inspired me to create Swapicize. The platform allows the user to save a large amount of money while strengthening their community bonds, both incredibly important, especially during the time of a pandemic. As to any concerns regarding COVID-19 spreading during in-person swaps, I have consulted a microbiology PhD who informed me that as long as the traders wear masks, hands are washed, and clothes are washed before wear, no problems would arise. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Would there be any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Well, first off, this idea is awesome. I have people who do the buy at thrift shops, and then they try to barter in my family. So definitely a cool tool. So with your subscription model though, so I'm in the business of ecosystem building and gaining users, and it's not easy at all. Then if you're trying to get them to pay immediately for something that they've never done before, it's very, very difficult. So have you looked at freemium models of saying, 3 trades or 4 trades, and then after that, and can you explain that a little bit, your financials a little bit more? So 2 questions. Yeah. Have you looked at freemium models, and what would that look like for you guys? And then can you also explain a little bit more on your financials and your financial growth?
Yes. So first off, to address your financial situation, this is a kind of more of a breakdown of my financials. And to address your idea of the subscription service, so $5, if you're asking me if I think that people are going to spend $5 per month to access the service, to be quite honest with you, I do. This is unlimited access to a very large marketplace that is backed by a lot of marketing opportunities. As going back to my marketing slide, I plan to use a variety of different resources, such as I mentioned, sustainable fashion groups, such as the ones listed here, that essentially already have a very large target base. So it'd be quite easy to reach out to them and essentially expose their audience to the platform. And influencer content is incredibly powerful. This is an example of influencer that I had in mind. Over 300,000 followers. This kind of reaching out, especially with the large amount of marketing that I showed in my marketing tab, I believe we have a very strong support to getting, as you say, to have people pay right away. Thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Just one recommendation. I would definitely dig it a little bit deeper into, a marketplace and what it takes to grow the marketplace and what it takes to grow user bases. And I'll put my email here too if you want some help with that.
Thank you very much.
Hi, this is
question.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh, no. Okay. Did you happen to say that you were limiting the trade to a 10-mile radius?
No, ma'am. So
Okay.
the idea would be to have, as I say, a community distance search feature. So this has, it's the default setting, and it would have then your community, then say 25 miles, 50 miles, and say 75 miles is the cap. And this idea is to be essentially to promote this idea of community connection that I believe is lacking. Thank you for the question.
Go ahead.
Thanks. I have just one question. I thought this was a good presentation. It's a good job on that. So my question is very specific about user friction. So in the case of a buy or a sell type of a action, there's typically just one party who has to agree, versus in a trade, there are two parties who need to agree. So one person saying, hey, I'm going to trade this thing, and then someone else has to offer something up, which the other person again has to agree to. So there's that added user friction there. And I'm curious about how you're planning to address that to make it more usable. And this is kind of diving a little bit more into execution, but I'm curious about how you do that instead, or as opposed to a platform like ThreadUp, who does something very similar, except they do a buy and sell model.
Yes, so the idea would be to have essentially a closet of this person's listings. Then after you have this closet, as I was showing on my the transactions tab, you would then, as I say, offer to exchange with somebody and then have them accept. Now, this whole idea, the reason to get around the friction, I think, is to already have the products on the application themselves to make it incredibly easy for somebody to just make a request and then have that acceptance. Thank you for the question.
So I would just recommend that you look at Rent the Runway. They have a similar model in some ways, and they faced like some issues due to COVID recently. They've had to like revamp their own business, make drastic changes. So I think you should look at them, and it could be a helpful resource for you as you grow this.
Thank you very much.
And this was our last recommendation. Thank you very much for your presentation and for your questions and suggestions. So let's move on to the next team.